interesting, though, I must say, along with the Martin Luther locations, there were Adolf Hitler locations, because they kind of were in the same spots and spoke in the same locations. We did go to the birthplace of Adolf Hitler, which is Braunau in Austria, and where he grew up in Linz, Austria. But you know, unfortunately, in both Germany and Austria, there is a rise now of Nazi sentiments. And that is because the people there are very much against all the Muslims moving in from Turkey and other locations. They consider it to be almost an act of war by the Islamic people against the people of Europe. And remember, historically, these areas were invaded by the Ottoman Empire hundreds of years ago, as well as the Mongols a couple of times. So that energy, that memory is embedded in their cellular structure, and they are very much against the Muslim people moving into this area of Europe. And I was told that if you go to Braunau for a seminar, you're automatically assumed to be a Nazi supporter. That's how powerful it is in those countries now. So something to keep in mind, and I was also told by Austrians that not to be surprised if such a thing even happens in North America, because they feel that that sentiment of nationalism and unfortunately racism is coming to the surface again.
A Norway court dismisses a judge in Anders Behring Breivik's trial over a concerning Facebook comment. Thomas Indreba was one of 3 civilian members of the 5-judge tribunal hearing the case against Breivik for a mass shooting and bombing last summer. Both the prosecution and defense asked that he be dismissed over a Facebook comment made last July that the death penalty is the only just outcome of this case. A survivor of the shooting that killed 69 people at an island summer camp said he doesn't blame the lay judge.
I don't hold it against him. It was an emotional time for everyone, and of course he probably could never have guessed that he would actually be judged in the trial.
The leader of a support group related to the attacks also agreed with the move.
I think this was the right thing to do because everyone in court was concerned that he was no longer qualified to make a decision.
Brevik has admitted to the attacks but pleaded not guilty. He faces a jail sentence of up to 21 years, but could be held indefinitely if he is considered a continued danger. Lindsay Parietti, Reuters.
Stop massive immigration, as if the immigrants would come like black boots, like walking over their Swiss flag. It's completely, you know, it looks like Nazis, the boots they are, you know. No immigrants walk like this, you know. They walk carefully, you know, not like that. The Swiss walk like that, they're Nazis. So this is Swiss neutrality, eh? Well, they never were. And here is the biggest Nazi party in Europe, the SVP, in French is UDC. And they're the biggest in the world, probably. I mean, they financed Adolf Hitler, what do you think? And these ones here, they don't do a thing. Only if you open your mouth like I do, then they come with an anti-terrorist police, they do, like they did with me on May 30th this year. Goodness, I'm a keeper of the oath. Oh man, look at it. You know, he must be an immigrant seeing the sign. Oh man, oh, he sees it, look at it. Oh. And if they're up to doing things like this, all in the open, then we all know that behind the screens, there's lots of other things happening and going on, like terrorizing people, murdering people through O2T torture in prisons. And, well, they always hide things like they do with their banks and all that. These are the people of the hidden ways. You know, I mean, look at them, look at them. Look how they're looking, look, oh, you see that? That's why I'm hiding.
Hello everyone, Welcome to Global Government News. Today is a very, very special day. It's April 20th, 2012, and I'm Darko. It's Adolf Hitler's birthday. Happy birthday, our Fuhrer. And, you know, it's kind of weird the way it all happened, because those videos that you saw and some news I'm going to get to, it all just kind of just, it kind of just came, really. There was just stuff in the headlines with Breivik and with what I'm going to get to. So it all just, whether it's coincidence or not, that's the news flow. But yeah, so today is April 20th. And my website is ggnonline.com. And on YouTube's ddarko2012, ddarko2013. So Switzerland to cut work permit quota to 8 EU states. So you saw that video right there of these little boots walking over there talking about immigration. So this is not a joke. And you heard what Swerdlow was saying after he had just come back from Europe in Austria and Germany. So it says here the Swiss government has planned to reimpose immigration quotas on 8 European Union countries as it faces domestic criticism of high rate of immigration. They will cut permits to countries like Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, basically post-Soviet bloc countries. And he goes on here and it says that the justice minister says that they're not afraid, but rather it is sensitive to the fears and concerns of the people. With unemployment rate as low as 3%, Switzerland has recently seen a surge of immigration workers. So, see, they're going to take care of their own country. You know, basically Switzerland, a neutral country, helps launder money and stuff between the powers that be. But, you know, other countries in Europe, oh no, right? So, and especially here in the United States and other places. Okay, so next we have Swastika on the ballot. American Nazi Party gets its first lobbyist. You've probably already heard this, but it's just tying in with this other news articles. So it says the American Nazi Party has its first lobbyist in Washington, according to reports. John Bowles had registered with the House and Senate offices as a representative of the ANP, according to disclosure records. Bowles was a presidential candidate in 2008 for the National Socialist Movement, according to U.S. News and World Report. German woman supporting Breivik deported to Germany. So a German woman expressing support for the anti-Islam terrorist Anders Behring Breivik has been deported from Norway, police officials says. They also said police have identified a group of roughly 10 suspected far-right extremists and a known former neo-Nazi outside the courthouse since the beginning of the trial on Monday. Breivik intends to plead not guilty, arguing the attacks were a political act designed to prevent what he described as a Muslim invasion of Europe. Then we have Islam not part of German society, says a conservative German lawmaker, April 19th. Again, I mean, if you look at all these dates, they're all pretty much within the same time frame. A leading member of the German parliament's conservative bloc and ally Chancellor Merkel says Islam is not part of the German society. It's not part of our tradition and identity in Germany, and so it does not belong in Germany. The remarks come at a time when Germany is holding a conference on the integration of the 4 million Muslims living in Germany, where Islamophobia is on the rise. 2 years ago, anger erupted over a book by Germany's foreign Senator of Finance, Thilo Sarrazin, who argued that Turkish and Arab immigrants threaten the German culture. From April 19, 2012, right-wing French leader jokes that Sarkozy has the same initials as Nazi Party. Goes on and it says, he bears the same initials as the National Socialist Party, quipped Jean-Marie Le Pen, a right-wing French politician. He then made light of his statement and half apologized, explaining that Sarkozy's campaign rally earlier this week made him think of Nuremberg, a significant city in Nazi Germany that often held massive rallies. Baboons can distinguish between words and gibberish, study finds from April 12th. Then moving on, we have Brevik Whitewash begins in Norway, Murdoch's hand seen. So there are some that are theorizing that Breivik is actually working for the powers that be, that he is a Zionist. You saw him when he did that little, what looked or appeared to be a Nazi salute in the courtroom. Nobody really looked twice at it, but it wasn't a full salute. What was it? It was kind of a fist, which was kind of weird. But either way, he's saying it's the last step of an official cover-up in motion. The children, victims of the Holocaust, were selected because of political ties to foes of Israel as admitted by the killer. It says, however, the real story began not just with suspected police complicity and the mysterious world travels of Brevik, but with the cover-up starting with the Murdoch operation, the Wall Street Journal, the Star, or even the Norway station. Right here, you can go in there and check that out. But it goes on, it says Brevik, Norwegian, sometimes British, sometimes a Pole, most likely an Israeli, is on trial for a variety of crimes. The criminals themselves, and there are dozens at least, have left this MK Ultra reject to take the blame. So I'm going to keep moving, but yeah, so you have this. Norway mass killer Breivik claims he had an English mentor, or you can put it handler, and there's many just weird inconsistencies with this individual. And a vision that Hitler himself actually had was what? Basically president of Europe. Ministers of the EU ponder creation of European Union super president or Über-President. So it says that this individual would have more power than either Rompuy or Barroso, who both, I believe, weren't elected by the people, but also more democratic legitimacy. Officials are studying the futurology of EU Parliament by saying other aspects of today's world are a greater challenge. Discussions and decisions are more often being taken in multilateral arenas such as the G8 or G20 groups of industrialized countries, and it raises questions about democratic oversight. It goes on and it says that the EU challenge comes under scrutiny when it's increasingly fretful about the role of the European Council and the forum for EU leaders to make decisions. But it says here, but while the multipolar nature of global relations is forcing the Parliament to change, so too is the greater power of Brussels over the national economic decisions and the Parliament's recent boost in the lawmaking powers. And as Barroso talks about how austerity measures may kill states and the European Union, Italian museum burns art to protest austerity cuts. Then we have food stamps rolls to grow through 2014. Congressional Budget Office says for the United States, 45 million people in 2011 receive, it says here, nutrition assistance program benefits, a 70% increase from 2007. We have hard-pressed families are spending more on filling the petrol tank or gas tank than their weekly food shop price. So we know economic warfare is being carried out on people, and that raising oil prices or gas prices can hinder their travel, and ultimately they don't want people in cars traveling independently anymore. They want them on public transportation. So with fuel prices rocketing to record levels, more drivers are being forced to scrimp on other household necessities so they can afford to get where they need to be. And here's a little trick that I learned while I worked at a grocery store, a couple grocery stores, supermarket shrink ray, how shoppers are paying the same for even smaller products. It's similar to actually working the same amount or longer or harder for less. We have Brussels expecting thousands of small Greek businesses to close. Up next, we have European unemployment rate on a record high. According to a report published in a German newspaper, the number of employed people in Europe has never been higher than in 2012. Euro is on the brink of collapse, says the International Monetary Fund, as Lord Hasseltine says the UK will join the euro if it survives. He's a pro-European politician. Next up, we have Britain's bailout. Bill could hit 40 billion as Osborne agrees to hand IMF another 10 billion of our cash amid Eurozone crisis. The IMF sees optimism return as faster growth is predicted, and that's good because optimism reduces risk of cardiovascular disease, says Harvard. Also, no regrets. Old people who learn not to linger on how much they've been screwed in their entire lives have been happier and been able to cope better with stress. That's right, folks. Don't try to pass on some wisdom to your grandparents telling them what to avoid. You know, we should have never passed that Federal Reserve Act of 1913. You know, we never should have went into Vietnam. That may have been just about the last generation of, good men. But according to this, it's best to let them go. And as your futures are going down to the toilet and the peasants are running out of bread, let them eat cake, or let them eat bacon ice cream sundaes, or hot dog stuffed pizza crust. And it may have been healthier to eat cake because this stuff that's making this meat, ammonium hydroxide, is a serious threat to your health, commonly sold as window cleaner, floor cleaner, wood polish. But the FDA says they regard it as safe, so everything's okay. Then we have Food Safety Agency admits ethical faults and regrets it did not act or react to one of its former managers going to work for a biotechnology company. That makes sense because a lot of your food now is what? Nanotechnology, food coming to a fridge near you. So synthetic food and even poop. Japan's scientist synthesizes meat from human feces, and a new federal agency, OFR, stirs Orwellian fears called the Office of Financial Research, and will be directly funded from the Federal Reserve. Directors are calling it the CIA of financial regulators. And as spying on financial transactions increases by half, EU will send airline passenger data to the United States. This is GGN, and I'm Darko. Thank you.